Hi, I'm Christine Drews, and I manage the website diggingdeeperwithgod.com, and I'm glad you're with me today, and I hope you've been keeping up with the devotions, and if this is your first time here, that's great. Welcome aboard. Today, we have the devotion on 2Kings 5, 15 to 27, and the heading in my Bible says Gehazi's greed and punishment, so it's not exactly a light topic. This follows on the heels of Naaman being healed of his leprosy. Elisha had sent a messenger to Naaman to tell him to wash in the Jordan River 7 times. Naaman had felt that was beneath him to do that. And but his servants had convinced him, his officials had said, yeah, you should go try this. And so he did, and he was healed of his leprosy. And today we pick it up right after that, and he offers Elisha to give him gifts. Naaman was a wealthy man, and Elisha turned him down, and clearly so, because Elisha understood that he had not done the healing. God had done the healing. But Elisha had this servant named Gehazi, or however you want to say his name, who had been with him for some time now. And Gehazi had gotten some greed in his heart. And so Naaman rides off with his chariots and horsemen and his officials. And Elisha and Gehazi go the other direction. And Gehazi decides to go back to Naaman. And he lies to Naaman and he says, Elisha thought about it again and thinks, yes, he could accept some gifts for these 2 other men. He could accept some silver and changes of clothes. And so Naaman gives him double that amount. And Gehazi comes back to Elisha's home and tries to sneak the stuff in so that he can use it later to buy things for his own well-being. And Elisha catches him in that act. And so before we get to our main point today, I want to talk a little bit about that. It's always hard for me to figure out what story from my own life to share when I get to these devotions. And in this case, I could tell you stories of, I struggle with greed actually, and I struggle with it mainly when I'm grocery shopping. I go through those aisles and I want things and I buy them. And then I live with a couple weeks of regret, not being able to spend my money the way I really wish because I was greedy at the grocery store. And so that's a true confession. The other day, I walked back in the front door right as my niece was slipping 2 snacks into her backpack, and she knows she was only allowed 1, and I caught her red-handed, and she slunk back to the pantry and put that other one away, and that's kind of what happens in this passage. This is a fascinating account to me. One version says, but Elisha said to him, "Was not my spirit with you, Gehazi, when the man got down from his chariot to meet you?" How did Elisha know that? Another version says, but he said to him, "Did not my heart go when the man turned from his chariot to meet you?" Elisha knew what Gehazi had done, and he it's like he was there. Well, how did he know that? He knew it because God had told him. God and Elisha had a special connection, and God gave Elisha this prophecy. He knew what Gehazi had done. Poor Gehazi is busted. And we are too in our lives. That guilt, that pang of regret I feel after I've blown it grocery shopping. That's our conscience, our God-given conscience speaking to us. And so this passage, you could read this with a lot of, criticalness or negativity, the weight of the law upon you. And I want to look at the other side of that, because we do hear about Gehazi later on in 2 Kings, so it does make you wonder, did he have a change of heart? The other thing is this passage reminded me of Psalm 139, and I have lost my place. Where was that? The first few verses. And I want you to hear both kind of the conviction of this, but then also the promise. So, Psalm 139, "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." Here's the part that gets me. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. Okay, that kind of catches me. Not something maybe I want God to know about me, right? But he does. He knows it all. But I want you to catch the promise in this and the hope and the joy that we can have that God knows everything about us. One of the names of God is that God knows. And I want you to hear in Psalm 139, I'm going to skip a little bit and start in verse 7. Now, think about times in your life where you want to know that God is there. So it might be a small little turmoil. Something goes wrong at work. That happens to me all the time. And it just kind of eats me up a little bit, and I need to know God's with me. Or maybe you had a spat with like a little fight with your spouse or a friend or a child. Those things, can kind of get at us. They're smaller, but we still want to know that God is with us during those, giving us guidance. But what about bigger things? What about the harder things in life where we don't want to be walking in them alone? That fight that's bigger, where the divorce word is mentioned. The turmoil at work, the tension that maybe is leading to a loss of job, the health crisis, a relational problem with a spouse or a child or a friend, an addiction or a mental health problem that you or a loved one is facing. In those times, don't we want to know that God is with us and giving us hope and guiding us? Listen to Psalm 139, starting in verse 7. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, verse 10, catch it. Even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. Do you hear that? Even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. So in this account today that we have that's hard, the one where Gehazi gets caught in his lies and deception, we fall into greed in our own lives. But catch the good news, catch the promise here. Just like Elisha knew from God what Gehazi, however you want to say that, had done. So God knows everything about us, the bad, and he still accepts us, and the struggles that we have, the problems that we're facing today. So cling to that. Even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. Wonderful, wonderful words. I hope you have a blessed day. Dig deeper. Go to those questions in the devotion as you read and ponder the passage in 2 Kings. Notice God's hand in Gehazi's and Elisha's life, and know that he's with you too, with you always, wherever you go. Have a great day. See you next week. Who knows whether it will be in writing or on video next week. Hope to have you back at diggingdeeperwithgod.com. Thanks.